Ah.
Everybody.
You're able to see.
We'll all sit comfortably. Bring your mind to the here and now. Watch your breath. Just observe the breath as it is. And as you breathe, feel your body relaxing. We will chant Om 3 times, followed by Sahana Vavatu. Om. 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 Sahana Vavatu. Sahanau Bhunaktu. Sahaviryam Karavavahai. Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janmadhyasya yatonmayaditaratah chartheshvabhijñam swarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo vari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Tato Jayamudiraye. So, it's been a while. I think last 2 weeks we did not have the class. And before that, we were on Dhruva Charitram, a child's resolve. So what we thought is, because it's been a while, we will quickly start from the beginning of that chapter only and go over, and then we will continue with the chapter. Yeah. So I'll start reading. Okay. A child's resolve. Now we saw these parts. I'll just briefly explain maybe. So Uttanapada is the son of Manu. He had 2 wives, Suniti and Suruchi. And Suniti's son was Dhruva and Suruchi's son was Uttama. However, Suruchi was the favorite king for Uttanapada. Okay, and we know the story where, Uttama goes and sits on Uttanapada's lap. Then Dhruva also wants to go in. So here we also saw the meaning of Suniti and Suruchi. Suniti. a good values. Su is like what we say, accentuates that niti, very high niti. And ruchi is more about the senses, right? Someone who seeks pleasure out of the senses. So suruchi, even the names are such. So Suniti was very full of values and showed the very, very beautiful nature. And Suruchi was very beautiful and very appealing to the senses, more appealing to the senses. And Uttanapada, he went towards this Suruchi. His mind was more drawn to those sensual pleasures in another way, if you see. So for him, Suruchi was the favorite queen. And then Dhruva goes and wants to go and sit on his father's lap, but Suruchi says, "You are not the son of the king. You are the son of the king, but you are not born out of me. Okay, you are a son who is born out of the highest value, higher values. You are not born out of the sense pleasures. So you cannot sit on the lap of somebody who is seeking sense pleasures. Okay, you have to be born out of me to be able to go and sit on your father's lap. Go and pray to Lord that he should make you the son of Suruchi in the next birth. Then you can get that kind of pleasure of sitting on your father's lap." And the king did nothing. When this was going on, he did not speak a word in protest, since he was completely infatuated by his wife. And hurt by these cruel words of his stepmother, Dhruva, those little children, a 5-year-old child hissing. He's angry and he goes to his mother, and there the others tell the mother what has happened. And Suniti feels sad, obviously, that her son was not given that pleasure of sitting on his own father's laps. And she wept. And she says, but here's where her nature, that, the higher values start showing, even in this difficult situation when, for a mother to see her child being so sad, especially such a young child who cannot even sit on the father's lap, and is upset about that. Even in that situation, she did not blame or anything like that. What she said was, yes, in some ways you are not able to sit on your father's lap because your father does not recognize me. He does not recognize higher values. He only recognizes the pleasure of the senses. And you are born out of me, and hence you are also not being recognized at this point in time. Please, but listen to what she said, what Suruchi said. Go and pray to Narayana. So in that whole thing, at a common layman level, if you see, what she took the good thing out of that also. And instead of focusing on his not being able to sit and saying, how could she talk like this or whatever, she took the good in that. And she said, yes, go and pray to Narayana. Only he will be able to give you the solution. Okay, so in a way, those senses in all of it, the sensual pleasure is also giving the indication, go seek Narayana. Okay, so Dhruva was bent on doing what his mother said would be good for him. He left his father's city and wandered about without knowing how to set about his penance. Narada, with his yogic powers, knew about Dhruva. Perhaps he was reminded of his earlier Janma when he was just such a child, So here we saw the story of Narada. Narada was a little child. He was with his mother. He didn't have a father. And then his mother is working in an ashram serving the rishis. And one day the mother is, bitten by a snake. And then his life, but because he was with those rishis, he also gets the Brahma Vidya. And then his mother passes away. We had seen the beginning of Bhagavatam. And from there, he remembers that. And he feels, I must help this child. He is a Kshatriya and he has been hurt by the words of his stepmother. I hope. Narada hurried to where Dhruva was and placing his hand on the child's head, blessed him. He said, you are still a child. You are just 5 years old. Your place is by the side of your toys and such things. You are still too young to let insult or approbation have so much influence on your mind. In this world, good and bad, praise and censure are all the result of one's own actions and nothing else. So it is man's delusion which causes these. If God's grace is with you, then unhappiness will never come near you. His grace is the only thing needed. If it is not there, no amount of energy or attempt will bear any fruit. It is up to you to be satisfied with the Lord, what the Lord metes out to you as your share of pleasure or pain. This is a very loaded statement. This whole thing that Narada has told, I will just talk about it and I think we will dwell on this a little bit. Okay. So what Narada is telling is very relevant for us. When we go out in this world, praise and censure are happening constantly. So there are different things. We see that people with different attitudes take the same statement in different ways when it comes to them. When somebody tells something, people that you can either take it as a compliment. Sometimes somebody just makes a statement and say, okay, are they telling good or bad? So good or bad, right or wrong, praise or censure, all this is our own way of how we take it. This duality is only as long as we are in this world. But if we are, and it's a delusion. There's not, everything is what it is. If I can just see it for what it is, then I'll see God's grace in it. Instead, I add praise. I look at it as a like or a dislike. I look at it as a pain or a pleasure. And when I look at it as a pain or a pleasure, that is when the whole delusion now causes agitation, anger, kama, krodha, mada, moha, matsarya, all of these arishad vargas then start manifesting within us. If God's grace is with you, then unhappiness will never come near you. You want to say something about this, Bala, before I...
We'll complete it. A lot of... and then we'll come.
You want to read further?
Okay. It's man's delusion which causes these. If God's grace is with you, then unhappiness will never come near you. His grace is the only thing needed. If it is not there, no amount of energy or attempt will bear any fruit. It is up to you to be satisfied with what the Lord metes out to you as your share of pleasure or pain. Your mother has told to you that you should take refuge in Narayana, and I know you are bent on performing tapas and finding him. My child, do you not know that it is not easy to please him? Rishis and yogis have performed penance for years on end, and still they have not been able to see him. It needs concentration. It needs sacrifice. It needs a sense of detachment and patience. Tapas spread over janma after janma. And still, in spite of all these, he is very hard to find. Please give up this quest. Abandon this childish obstinacy. You can come back to it later. Penance is a course to be adopted by you when you are in your old age. God has ordained that man should enjoy a certain share of happiness and a certain share of sorrow. It is not right to rebel against the law of nature. The wise say that a man's punya decreases when he enjoys the good things of life, and that his papa decreases when sorrow visits him. And so he reaches the very boon of release from both if he learns to be even tempered, unaffected by either. When you see one more fortunate than you, it is not right that you should be jealous of him. You should show him affection. And if you see a man lacking in good qualities, you should be sorry for him and not hate him or sneer at him. If you meet one who is your equal, you should then be friendly with him. Such a man will never be unhappy.
This is all about equanimity here. Right? Typically, when we see a bad person, how do we react? We feel a dislike to that person. As we say, right, if somebody is behaving in someone who is not behaving the way we think is the right way of behaving, we tend to dislike. And when somebody behaves in a way that we like, then we tend to look up to them very highly. So looking up to people, looking down on people, they're saying reverse it. Follow the compassion in your heart. So you see somebody who is not behaving well, then feel compassion. Don't know what is the sorrow within them, what is that vasana within them, what is that within them that is making them behave like this. Feel compassion. Somebody is very good. So even if something good happens, don't try to enjoy it too much. They say, no, if you laugh too much, you will end up crying. There is that balancing. This is all for, very clearly that now Dhruva represents a very beginner level sadhaka. If you look at it, right, to practice that equanimity, and Narada here is trying to dissuade him, you have to do this, you have to look at people like this, and you're a little child, go and play with your toys. The world of duality, of pain and pleasure is outwards. When my sight, when my senses are looking outwards, then it is a world of pain and pleasure. Right or wrong, whatever comes in my mind, it is because my mind is looking outwards, towards the objects. I want this, I get it, then it is pleasure. I don't get it, then it is pain. Dhruva wanted to sit on the lap of his father. He didn't get it. That seems like pain. And we are angry. He is angry. And there, Narada is telling, be equanimous. Try not to look at it as pain or pleasure, like or dislike. You must develop those kind of qualities if you really want to seek Narayana. Because where is Narayana? Narayana is within. He is the awareness within. Narayana is that supreme self through whose light everything is shining. I'm able to see everything only because that supreme light of Narayana is shining through. I am able to think because that Narayana's light is shining through. Without that, I don't exist. I can't see, I have no experience. So if I have to go turn around to see that Narayana, these qualities which are outward looking. Now, Narayana's nature is compassion. So when I am looking around, and if I am thinking of God's grace in everything that is happening, then there will be compassion in whatever we do. And there's no other happiness other than that happiness that is there with staying with this higher self. There is no need to get caught in the pleasures of the world. And then there is this absolute balance that comes in. Basically, Narada here is testing him, telling him all of this, take toys. This is all very difficult. You have to practice compassion. It looks difficult, no? You have to, towards the people who are not as per your liking. You have to not go with the pleasure of what you like. You know, this is Raga Dvesha. Again, we have looked at Raga Dvesha once before. My likes and my dislikes. Pain is typically, we look at it as not so good. Pain in general is not looked at as, because there is a dislike for pain in general for us, except for Kunti Mata. Kunti Mata said, keep giving me pain so that I'll remember you at all point in time. That is also an attitude, how we look at that pain, right? So he is telling all this is very difficult, and he's trying to dissuade Dhruva, or he's actually trying to really test his determination, his how much vairagya he has, how much conviction he has in what he is trying to do. Only when that conviction is strong will we achieve anything that we want to achieve. God can be achieved only with strong determination and conviction.
It's very beautiful because usually Sage Narada comes in whenever there is a lot of confusion in our mind. That's how we have been seeing, right? He guides whenever we are lost. So again, here also, Dhruva is all by himself. He's completely lost, but with some vision in his, to his mother's words. All that is there in his mind is just his mother's words. Yes, seek Narayana. So with that, he is set out. And so Narada, out of his compassion, comes. I was wondering, why is Sage? Because Sage Narada is known to guide, known to say, do this, do that. But here, one way of looking at it is, he's a very small child, Dhruva, right? Only 5 years or maybe so. So Narada is actually, like what Aarti beautifully said, could be testing him, okay, or could be preparing him for what is set out. Okay, we don't know. But that came to my mind is, it could be that what learning that I think, how I'm able to relate is, forgetting Dhruva as a child, what happens sometimes is, when there is some deep pain, when there is some deep hurt, we would want to, and someone says, okay, do this to get out of that. Okay, I may immediately run away from that pain and hold on to something else. So it could be a very instinctive reaction to the whole situation. So it is possible that Dhruva also right now is so hurt, though it doesn't, here Dhruva is, all that is there in his mind is his mother's words. I think that is what maybe Dhruva will reply later. It is not the hurt or anything, but if we take it that way in life, when we are hurt, we want to run away from that hurt. So here Narada is actually helping, is actually kind of saying that be with the hurt for some time, face it, Yeah, face that hurt, and do not, like what Aarti beautifully said, not to look at the pain or the hurt from outside. When we are looking at it outside, we see 100,000 reasons for that hurt to happen, which is there outside. But when we turn within, yes, we actually start tuning to that higher, that antaryaman within. So we are with that pain. So that pain as an instrument to turn within. So Narada also here, at every point in time, whenever we face pain or too much excitement, whatever, whichever is disturbing our harmony, yeah, the Narada needs to come there and turn our attention to the higher self. That is what he is doing here with, he says, it is not easy. I mean, before that, he says, to ensure, go and play with the toys, at home. You can go back. So basically, do not run away from whatever is there, not jump into the next one, stay there for some time, so not to be in a hurry is something I feel the Narada is putting a break in the child's. And then, yes, so that's what he says. It is all the delusion. If it is coming out of that delusion, then, we we don't face the pain, and we are actually moving forward in the delusion itself. So that's why Narada is trying to clarify here is that is how I was able to relate to it here. Yeah. And slowly he goes to saying what is in store by taking up this. Yeah. It is not, whatever he's taking up, the tapasya is something which is not easy for the child. So we'll see what Dhruva says.
I actually want to dwell a little on this pain and pleasure, which is, I think, very relevant for a lot of us. In a way, certain words because the pain and pleasure is, let us be very clear that it is only because of my like or dislike of a situation. What I think is good or bad, and we think what I think is good or bad, right or wrong, like or dislike is the reality. But if we can, is the whole reality. And based on that, we take such deep pain sometimes. Okay. And this whole pain or pleasure is in the realm of my ahankara, my ego, my doership, my desire, my feelings, my actions. I, me, mine is typically very high when we are talking about this pain or pleasure. So when we are talking about pain or pleasure, we are talking at the small ego level, the ahankara level, aham karta level. So that is one realm which is looking outwards. And the higher self within does not get, or Narayana within us in our heart is not affected by anything. So if we have to come out of this pain or pleasure and not look at that as pain or pleasure, we have to go deeper and see that I am not this ahankara. I am not this ego, the small ego of, what is the like a part of, my mind, my thoughts, my feelings. I am not any of these. I am the higher self who is in bliss at all point in time. Then that natural compassion, the way we look at things will be very different when it is that aham doesn't come in. Then the pain or pleasure doesn't come. Everything is just, it is what it is. It just is. So in a way, through this Dhruva story, what is Suruchi telling? You have taken pain. Suruchi causes a pain and she gives the solution also. And Suniti takes on to that solution, and now Dhruva is on his journey. Pain or pleasure has been inflicted. He has taken it because he was with his small ego, the ahankara, at this point in time. And now to come out of this pain or pleasure, he is going in search of Narayana. And when that shift, he is determined to go and look for Narayana. And when that determination has come in, Narada has come in to guide him with it. So whenever anything seems like pain or pleasure, just turn towards Narayana with a determination to come out of that pain and to be with Narayana. Okay, though in this we will see what Dhruva actually asks at the end. But whenever we experience pain or pleasure, turns towards Narayana with the intention of being with Narayana and coming out of this pain or pleasure. This pain or pleasure is not real. It is not the reality. With that clarity, to go ahead. Yes, I think we'll move on. Anything else you want to add?
Yes. One more thing is, it's very beautiful here again. It is not right to rebel against the law of nature, he says. Yeah. So, the wise man say that.
But but what you said about being with the pain is accepting the pain, but wanting to come, not look at it as pain at all, in a way.
Do not analyze it, just be there.
Yes.
Correct. The wise say that a man's punya decreases when he enjoys the good things in life, and his papa decreases when sorrow visits him. So it is interesting to see that Narada is also turning Dhruva's attention to his buddhi. He is giving some, intellect there, whatever, to somewhere to endure that pain that Dhruva is, because sometimes we all get into that analysis mode. So all these things also helps in enduring it, staying with that. So very nicely, okay, punya is decreasing, papa is, these kind of things gives what we call it as samadhanam, right? So that way also Narada is helping. So it is very important to seek a higher guide, because Dhruva was a child. Automatically what happened is there is not much of ego, so he is automatically lost. Their sense of surrender is automatically there. So that brings in Narada. Even to bring in sage Narada is grace. It doesn't happen. When I am caught up with my ahankara, say there is some deep pain, I'm caught up in my ahankara, I'm still thinking that I will find solution to it. Okay, and I am still, building stories around the pain, and I am there. It may even go on for, I think, months and years. Okay, so when I'm caught up with the little ego, because the child was not caught up with the ego, he's just there with the pain of some hurt. So that's only when that surrender happens, we get a higher guide. So that is also very important. So we need to just look at the pain, and the moment we witness it, we know that we are not that. The moment that is there is a gap, right? Then surrender happens, and we actually, there is nothing else that needs to be done. We start getting guidance from within. So that all that we need to do is just be there, but not build stories. Do not use my little ego. I think that is one thing that is coming up here.
Whenever we experience pain as a practical sense, one of the beautiful things we have to see what Suniti said. She acknowledged that it is painful for her, first of all. She didn't say, oh, she just said, don't worry about it. No, it's nothing. She didn't wishy-wash it. She didn't cover it up. She didn't try to suppress that emotion or try to downplay for a child. No. She said, yes. What to do? You are my son, and hence your father does not like me, and hence he does not like you also. But what she said, Narayana, you go and look for him. So somewhere that validation about his understanding, that it is pain, yes, and your pain is a valid pain. Maybe, okay, you are experiencing it as pain. That is fine. But like what Bala said, don't indulge in it, come out of it. So now how do we really practice this when we experience it, right? So when we feel a certain pain at a point in time. So pain is easy. Pleasure also we need to watch. That is another thing. Pleasure, we don't talk about it. Pleasure, if I like something and I indulge in it, greed, it will either increase my greed, it will increase my addiction to it. It grows. Lobha increases. And when you don't get what you want, when you get what you want, it increases, it causes lobha. And when you don't get what you want, you get krodha, right? Or matsarya, if somebody else has got it and you have not got it. So now how do we practically work on this, like being with the pain, like that Suniti? How do we be like that Suniti to ourselves? Giving ourselves the right direction within. So when a pain is happening within us, there is a certain sensation in the body. When there is an agitation, whenever there is an agitation, or when there is a pleasure also, the body is there is a certain changing sensation within the body. Either the breath is a little heavier, there is our blood pressure is higher, we can feel, or our chest is a little heaving a little more, or you feel a tightness in the body, you're feeling certain sensations, you feel a certain amount of tightness in the head. It could be any of these feelings, sensations that we feel. And then being with this pain is to be completely just stilling the mind and observing and being with the pain. And observing what is happening in the body, the sensations, and it slowly starts. Wait till it eases out. It may take for some people, it can be quicker. For some people, it can take a longer time. It will slowly, that intensity of it comes when we observe it. When we observe the sensations that are happening in the body, without necessarily responding or having the thoughts of why did this happen? Why is all this happening to me? Or, or increasing the seed of the thoughts of the pain. This has always happened to me. In the past also, this happened to me and for the past 1 year, for the past 10 years, from birth, from childhood, everything will start running in my head. Instead of doing that, just be with the pain and watch the sensations. And as you observe the sensations, the pains, eventually it will start going down, settling. The breath will start coming back to normal and you will start feeling calm. So this is one way, because it's in that awareness is that higher self. And seeking that higher self to relieve, to be with the pain, relieves the pain. Instead of feeding the pain or the pleasure.
Yeah, one very interesting thing that came up when Aarti was saying is pain or pleasure, right? We say pain is given so that we turn our attention to the higher self. We turn our attention to God. Because we are not sensitive enough to catch what is happening during the pleasure. I indulge. So what to do? Bhagavan has to push me to the pain so that I turn and look at him. Okay, so the more connected we are with the higher self, we become more sensitive to even pleasure. Okay, we don't indulge in that. So that is called spiritual sensitivity, we say, right? So that is why, sometimes, okay, there's not much of pain. but we are more sensitive to things that are happening, which is not too painful, but at the same time, which is moving me away from. So for everything that is happening, I'm able to shift the attention to the higher self. Okay, so we need to increase that sensitivity with our practice. The more and more we observe, or the more and more we surrender, the sensitivity increases. So,
and we may have to do this again. It doesn't mean one time I did it, that pain has subsided. If I have held the pain for a very long time, I will have to do it again and again every time it arises, and slowly it will lose its power over us. Awareness will kick in much quicker. So his power increases. The Supreme Reality's power increases within us as we choose him over the pain.
That's a key. And in Rama says, in Yoga Vasishta, it is said that, Vasishta tells Lord Rama is also in deep pain. So Vasishta says, take it moment to moment. The problem is we all get caught with our pasts, right? With our past memory. And somewhere we have a bundle of or baggage or whatever of the past memory, which we have associated to a pain. So once we are able to detach from that, that is a key. Just take it moment to moment. This moment, this is happening. This moment, this is happening. So no connection between the two, actually. There's absolutely no connection. So when we are able to disconnect that, it helps us, moment to moment, being in that moment. That's what it means, right? Being in that moment. And then there's no ahankara. That higher self starts actually gaining the power and functions.
Purandarji has written, when one is in pain, one shouldn't lose composure, should be calm and install the thought in the mind that this too will pass. This too will pass is a very beautiful statement, yes. But the should can put a lot of pressure on us. Okay, instead of saying should, I will just rephrase this sentence. I get the meaning of what you're saying. As we practice being with this pain, we will start developing composure. We will start becoming calm. And we will realize that this too will pass. That is the state we want to reach. But if I put a condition that I should, then what will happen? Other seeds of that, regrets, guilt, when I can't, all those will also come up. So I just walk my step. I try, like Bala said, moment to moment, I try to be in that composure and know that this pain too shall pass. This pleasure also is not permanent, and this pleasure too shall pass. All these are just transient realities. So let me just be aware and observe it. And to remind myself of that will automatically slowly bring composure and what was the other word used? And calm within me. Okay. Yeah.
And this is more, again, result oriented.
Yeah.
One shouldn't lose composure, should be calm. I've gone to the future. I'm not in the present moment. Moment, what is happening? There is some disturbance, disharmony, which I am calling as pain. Right? There is some disharmony in the body, mind, intellect system, which is, bothering. Observe that in the current moment. That's all it is. Just to be. So this also puts us into future. Past, future doesn't help.
And the expectation.
Yes, that is unexpected.
And that expectation is what is putting the pressure. I should be like this is an expectation. That can be a goal towards which I'm working. But this moment is the only reality for me.
Yeah, it is very beautiful. One more thing that is coming to the mind. Goal, when Aarti mentioned goal. See, yes, recently I heard that a very strong statement that is coming. See, my goal in life is to be peaceful, not lose composure, Okay, not lose this harmony. That is the goal in life. But the moment that goal becomes expectation, it defeats the goal. That is the
Because then with a goal, there is a you are giving room for the goal to be achieved in any way, or you're giving room, you're saying, I am just working towards this. It is more about my effort rather than the outcome. When I'm saying a goal, it's like I want to walk, I want to reach that place. It is like saying, okay, I will go, we will see how we get there. But the moment it becomes an expectation, then disappointment. If I don't reach it, every time I fail, every time, all of those starts building it. When I say goal, I have fallen, I'll get up and I will start walking again. Okay, something happened, I could not, okay, so 2 minutes, I will sit down, I will make myself all right, and I will walk it. I have to that goal is there just to give me direction. To give me some direction to walk towards. And how I reach it, I enjoy this moment as I am walking. But what happens? So when I have a goal and I'm working moment to moment, I am enjoying and learning moment to moment. Then that journey becomes beautiful. But when I say should, then it becomes an expectation. And then what happens is my focus is on that outcome rather than that moment to moment journey. And then that journey itself will become painful in its own way to reach that whole outcome, right? So that's why we try to avoid words like should and have to and those things, because they are very concrete in their own ways. But the message was very clear. It's sometimes, we use these words also, but we're just trying to clarify. Okay, it may not have been put in that way. It's not to single it out, but just for that clarity that it is, let's not focus on the outcome as much as on the journey every moment.
This too shall pass. That is a Agama Pai says, no, in chapter 2, Bhagavad Gita, he says, so endure. So what Bhagavan says is, all these come and go. Tam titikshasva bharata. So that is something very important. We endure with complete surrender, with absolute no attaching labels or whatever, no expectations. With complete surrender, we endure. Yeah. So we'll see what Dhruva has to say. Dhruva said, it's my good fortune that I have met you. It is fortunate that I should have found you who can tell me clearly the secret, the real secret about pleasure and pain and how to be unaffected by either. And yet, because of being an undisciplined Kshatriya, perhaps the words of Suruchi have hurt me abominably, and your words do not reach my very inside. They ought to impress me, but they do not. This, how honest he is, right? I think sometimes we also get carried away with the words and we don't really see, okay, it has not really, gone in. But then Dhruva is very clear. He says, okay, your words seem to be, impressive, but I'm not able to relate to it. He's still in that pain. Please have pity on me and my ignorance. Now comes what? Surrender. Teach me the method by which I can reach the Lord. I want to attain a state higher than the highest, and I want to pray to the Lord to grant me that. Please teach me. You are, I have heard, born as the son of Brahma, and you wander all over the universe, plucking the strings of your veena with but one aim, to do good to mankind. Please have compassion on me.
When we are in pain, see, one is when he says an undisciplined Kshatriya. So an undisciplined Kshatriya, in a way, is a Rajasic character, Rajasic personality in some ways. So that sattva is not still very high. And it is the Rajasic character who will be very focused, for whom the pain and pleasure will also be very high, because they are working out of that I, the ahankara, largely. So at one level, we can take this as, that Kshatriya, undisciplined Kshatriya, to be a Rajasic nature. And because I am in this undisciplined, this Rajasic nature, this pain and pleasure is playing very strong in me right now, because of which the words that you are saying, that, pain is not right, I'm not able to understand. It's not going in, but he is doing the same thing with humility. There is a beauty there. There's some sattva guna of humility also there. And that is why he says, I am not able to understand this right now. So in that Rajasic nature, this is very important. In the Rajasic nature, when somebody is pointing out the right thing, instead of saying, I don't understand all this, so I don't want to listen to this. Or the other way is saying, I don't understand, yet you are a great Rishi, I know that. And if you are saying, there must be something to it. With that faith, I will learn. I don't understand right now, but I will try to learn with faith. Now that is another quality that is essential for learning. Then that Rajasic will slowly move into Sattva. The Sattvic qualities will start showing up in that pure, he's saying undisciplined Kshatriya. So it's like a pure Rajasic nature. But he's saying that quality of humility. I don't know, I can't understand, but that doesn't mean I think it's not true. That comes from Suniti, good values, being given as samskaras. Yes.
It's very important. Even Arjuna, right? He, with so much of confusion, the whole chapter, all that he does is expresses his confusion, right? And there is absolutely, and finally he says, I don't even know what is dharma, what is adharma, everything. But what does he do? Just like Dhruva here. Finally he says, I don't know. Oh Krishna, you please tell me. That is something we all need to, many times, if we get caught with, I know, I am finding the solution, that is where the problem arises. We linger in the problem, basically. More than arising, we linger in that. We don't find solution. But when we are able to, that is surrender. I do not know, I am confused. Guide me. Surrender to that Antaryaman within. That power is there within all the time telling us. I just have to stop my voices that are happening in the head, that comes in the head when there is so much pain or whatever. Stop that slowly and say, okay, these, but I do not know. You please guide. Have pity and whatever we want, we say. Like how beautifully Dhruva is saying, have pity, yes, all that. And then you please help. So only then we get that. So it's a yes, Aarti, you want to continue?
Yeah. So Narada was charmed by the naivety and sweetness of the words spoken by Dhruva, and he made up his mind to help him. He said, the path suggested by your mother is the correct path. I will grant you what you desire. The ultimate refuge of all is Narayana. Pray to him. Set your mind steadfastly on him. It is known to all that any desire will be granted by him when he is asked. Set your mind on Narayana. He will hear your prayers. May you be successful in your endeavor. My child, go to the banks of the river Yamuna, where the Lord is always present. Go to the holy spot, which is called Madhuvana. Bathe in the pure waters of the river Yamuna 3 times a day, and doing pranayama, set your mind on the Lord and his form. He is easily pleased. I will teach you the mantra, the incantation, reciting which you will be able to summon the Lord to your presence. The mantra is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. When this mantra is constantly repeated, the Lord will grant you all your desires. This is called Bhakti Yoga, and it is the easiest of the yogas. It is also very dear to Lord Narayana. Oh, the power of mantra. So a few things here, okay? It's just setting us on. Bala and I last week, we had been to Rishikesh for a satsang with Sri Nuchur Venkatraman. He is a disciple of Ramana Maharishi. In a way, he Atma disciple. Okay, so he... So there we were in this Ganga, taking a dip in Ganga. There is something special about these tirthas, where so many holy, one is, its beauty is it's running from the glaciers of the Himalayas. And then it's coming through all the herbs, collecting all the beautiful medicinal qualities probably. But then in such a kshetra like Rishikesh, when this water is flowing and then you go and you take a dip in it, where so many holy men have been there in this Rishikesh, that whole energy of the place, the moment you want to meditate or something, there's just something completely settling about it. And then you go and take a dip in the Ganga Mata also. It's just reminding me, why the taking that bath in these kind of rivers, these holy goddesses itself cleanses our outside body and the mind. Water holds a lot of memory, they say. So in that's why even in the Kumbh Mela, when all the sadhus are coming, everybody comes together and wants to take a dip along with them. Like that, it was a beautiful experience. So you want to say something? So this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, this was the mantra, the power of mantra. That doesn't have to be any meaning to any of the words. It's just the way the words have, the syllables have been arranged together. It gives out, you will get moksha for sure. Yeah. So Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, that the letters, the way the syllables have been put together, when you chant in your mind or loudly, it creates a certain resonance of energy within and around me. So these mantras are very, very, they're full of Shakti. And the repeatedly, he Nochuranna spoke about, how you take up a mantra and then the effect of the mantra shows when you chant it over a period of time. That same mantra, again and again and again and again, when we chant, its power grows. Its effect grows within us. So, and then you want to say something, Bala? Yeah.
Yeah, very beautiful. So the mantra, the nama, all that, when we fix the mind with, the mind is completely fixed on the Lord. That's what he says, right? When the mind is fixed on the Lord, it is like calling him. The more, see, I call my child with so much love, she comes. So it's the same thing. Bhakti, what we say, call that Antaryaman who is within, who is always there. What do you say? Gurudev says, he's just waiting in the backyard. One whistle, he runs in. So, like that, it is like calling him with so much love. and the mind completely immersed in him. So when that happens, basically our ahankara, whatever, disappears. Yes, there's absolutely nothing. We don't see the individuality at all. There is, we realize that, oh, nothing at all, actually. There is nothing to realize. There's nothing. And it is only Bhagavan who is there. So when that's what Narada very beautifully says, and all these things, taking the dip in holy rivers and all that also helps, because very beautifully, I remember in the satsanga, Churana was saying, why we say this, all these, okay, Bhagavan is there everywhere. And, we know that it is the omnipresent. But how these places are special. So, and there are certain times, right? Brahma Muhurtam, we say, when easily the mind slips, because at the universal level also, it is needed for sadhaka to have a conducive environment. Otherwise, it is very difficult. I have not reached a stage where anywhere I can do it. So for that conducive environment, overall, during the Brahma Muhurta time, the mind, at the universal level, there are very less thoughts, very less disharmony. There is so much of, so similarly, the Ganga Mata, when we just look at her, who is enduring, we learn so much. Just, they say, just 10-15 minutes, just sit beside her. And she starts talking, she starts telling us so many things. So that is, like one ancient grandmother who is there and giving us, that is the kind of bhava we all develop. So all those also, in the subtle energy, all those influence us. And we are not just this physical body, right? All those also influence us at a very, very subtle, at the spiritual level. So that helps us easily tune to the higher self. And easily forget ourselves, dissolve ourselves in that. That is very important. Then the moment we dissolve ourselves, then, it is only the higher who is present. That is bhakti. So many times, that's what he says. Bhakti is having that reverence, that love for God, and calling him with so much pure love, and say that I do not know you are there. Dissolve me. I do not know how to dissolve me also. Yes, something. So that is bhakti. It is many times, it is not just all the outward things really helps in reaching this stage of
and the God is within us. Let us understand that. Look at it is told that in Draupadi's story also, she first tries all by herself. She convinces everybody. And then when that this thing was happening, when her Vastraharan was happening, then she tries to reason out with her husband and tries to get them to stand up. And then she starts to reason out with all the people in the court. And there also, then she tries to hold on to her sari. And she realizes she's not strong enough. And then she calls out to God, but she calls out to Dwarakanath. Now, Dwarakanath, he has to come from Dwaraka. So that will take a very long time. So it is when she called out to Krishna in her heart, immediately he responded. So Krishna is in our heart, within us, as our supreme consciousness, as our supreme self. So let us seek that Krishna, that Narayana within. He will come to our aid like that, immediately, without any delay. We'll close here.
Yeah, one small thing, though it is related to this, but not related to this. So that is coming up again. Whatever Churana's words is what I'm, which deeply touched. See, that Antaryaman within, okay, is only doing everything. That Antaryaman within is shining through. And so, even in a satsanga like this, when that satsanga becomes real satsanga is where I, do not bring my buddhi and my mind, my ahankara in the satsanga. Put everything at his feet. Yes. And that Antaryaman knows what to take from the satsanga for this instrument, and accordingly it takes and functions. So that is the beauty of satsanga also. When we are in this place, let us not, instead of analyzing, so just they say, listening, that is the power of the Shravanam. The Shravanam can directly become an Nididhyasana when my buddhi and all is toned down and I have put it at his feet, and the Antaryaman takes what is needed for this at this moment. So let us all also, pray to Bhagavan to give us that kind of a bhava whenever, in every satsang, so that, only Bhagavan shines.
Bolo Narayana, Jai Jai Vithala, Bolo Narayana, Jai Jai Vithala, Hari Narayana, Ranga Ranga Vithala, Hari Narayana, Ranga Ranga Vithala, Shri Ranga Vithala, Hare Ranga Vithala, Shri Ranga Vithala, Hare Ranga Vithala, Bolo Narayana, Jai Jai Vithala. No Narayana, Jai Jai Vithala. Oh, Asato ma Satgamaya, Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukha Bad Bhaved. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Just before we end, we were just wondering, over the next few weeks, we'll all be able to attend, right? Just confirming that you all will be there. I know it's holiday times and all that. Just put a thumbs up if you think you will be there in the chat, please. Yeah, even only 2 have put a thumbs up. Traveling.
I think we'll continue.
We will continue. We hope people will join. Looks like some more. See if wherever you are, if you can join in at that time. Because it's just listening anyway. Yeah. Okay. We will just continue with the sessions. Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you.